Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason live on this Monday. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. As well, you know, it's the dog days of summer, but there is so much going on later in the show. All over the Russian Times and news exploding in the East about the BRICS and a gold-backed currency. We'll talk about that later in the show. We've got CPI, you know, the inflation data coming out on Wednesday, and of course the 10-year note continuing to go higher, and because of some tricks that the Treasury was playing, selling a lot of short-dated treasuries during this whole, I guess, let's call it remember the Inflation Reduction Act? Remember that? Yeah, we had to pay for all that stuff, and of course, apparently they forgot about the reduction of the inflation in the spending, but now, starting here in the next 2 weeks, they're going to have to go back to selling a lot more long-dated securities on top of more rate hikes. And our guest this morning, my son Joey at Northwestern Mutual, get your money out of the banks, get your money in an investment advisor that actually knows what he's talking about. He defied old dad because I said, man, I think rate hikes are coming to an end. And he's like, nope, they're going to go a lot higher than people think. And Joey, looks like you were spot on that because it looks like we're going to get another rate hike here on the 26th. And everyone's talking about, hey, probably going to need more than that.
Rates and who knows what the future holds, and which is why it's so important that we get a game plan in place and that we make sure that we're educating everyone we talk to so that they have an idea of what's going on with their plan and that we can change things and mix things up to make sure we're making the best use of everyone's dollars, because at the end of the day, when we work hard for our money, put our blood, sweat, and tears into it, we want to make sure we are protecting it, but also that it's working harder for us in the background, which is why we do what we do, just to make sure that people are in a better place than they were yesterday.
Yeah, you know, and you bring up, hey, we can change the plan. We need to change the plan. And this is probably new for a lot of people because, you know, really going all the way back to the start of this millennial, interest rates outside of a few brief periods have been pretty much at zero or near zero, and not a lot of reason necessarily to make changes. But this is a much different environment, and people are getting hammered here. Even though the stock market's still at 33,000, right? It's like 7 companies pretty much doing all the work. Yeah. The vast majority of the market is having another tough go of it.
Yeah, it is having a tough go. I mean, you look at the S&P 500, and, yeah, it's doing fine, but you mentioned already, it's the top 7 companies that are doing extremely well, and the rest of that portfolio is underperforming. And I think it's such a necessity to make sure that we can create diversification in an overall financial plan, but also that we're tailoring these plans around people who we're talking to. What's your comfortability level? What do you want to achieve? What's your goal? And we actually put real math behind these, pacing with 3 to 4% inflation. And the reason why I've had such a successful practice, especially in the beginning years, is that other advisors aren't doing as much of a detailed job as we are. You know, quite frankly, they're just like, hey, what are you saving per month? Give me your money, and I'm going to grow it. That's cool. I mean, they might grow it. They might do an okay job at that. But are they helping you make a plan on how to distribute your wealth most tax efficiently? Is all of your money set aside in a brokerage account? Like, do you know what happens when you do withdraw from these dollars, how it's taxed? And we're not CPAs, but we do know how that works, and we do know how to grow your money most tax efficiently possible, and just making sure we're not cutting Uncle Sam a bigger check than we need to. And I just think it's so crucial to go through our process and see our analysis, but more importantly, work with people and work with the team that is going to put in the work for you in the background, stay in touch with you, make sure that, hey, when life changes, we're making changes to plan. Maybe a granddaughter, a grandchild is born. Do we want to help them out? Hey, maybe we're 5 years out for retirement. How are we pacing based on what we're doing? Hey, my daughter's getting married. My son's getting married. We want to help out with the wedding. Like, oh, I just got a job promotion. What do I do with my raise? We're always checking in, and we're constantly updating things just to make sure we're on top of it. Because at the end of the day, you talk about finances, you talk about money. Listen, money isn't happiness. I'm not saying that, but it is a crucial part of all of our lives here in America. And it's the number one cause of divorce. It's the number one cause of depression and anxiety in the workforce. Let us be that person to help you out, calm your tensions, and just show you where you're at and present to you ideas on how we can get there if we're not where we want to be. It's not the end of the day. What is important is that we start today, not tomorrow.
That's Joey, Northwestern Mutual. He does a fantastic job. He looks after me. He can look after you. We'll be back with more right after the break. (800-951-0592). Joe and Jason on this Monday. We have my son Joey with us, and you talk about what's different because a lot of people think. Because there's people out there that have, you know what, I've changed planners, or I've got, I had one guy looking out for me I didn't like. I went to the other guy, and they're all the same. But that's just because they've never done business with you in Northwestern Mutual. You guys do it completely differently. The detail is incredible. I mean, you'll sit there and lay it out for them. Listen, okay, if you're going to be saving this much, okay, you guys, you're saving 3% of your money. Your wife's saving 3% of your money. You got X more years to retirement. This is what you can expect to see, and then this is how much you're going to have to spend down in retirement based on this. And if you go to 5%, you'll have this, or if you go down, you'll have that. I mean, you guys really break it down and make it very simple for people to know exactly where they're going to be at. Not just today or tomorrow, but 5 years, 10 years, whatever that case may be.
Yeah, we just, we do a different job than what people are used to. And, talking with a lot of people in pre-retirement, they're 10 years out, 5 years out, and then couples in their 30s and 40s. Man, they're not getting the service that they deserve. We're really breaking it down. I mean, we do so much work for all of our clients at the beginning and throughout the process before even getting paid. For example, we're sitting on estate planning meetings with attorneys and lawyers. We're sitting on meetings with CPAs. You run your own business. We're making sure we're doing everything from a tax strategy standpoint correctly. For people with student debt, we're sitting on meetings with them to help them refinance their loans and make sure they're not paying crazy premiums every month. I mean, we do a million things for people, and they always leave, just happy that they made that call or happy that they picked up the phone and took that meeting. And for everyone here on Case and C listening, you talked about partnering up with a conservative company, not partnering up with a bank, partnering up with someone who really takes a lot of pride in this and wants to make sure that we're helping as many people out as we possibly can, and our team is growing, where we're getting more knowledgeable people. And I just think that, I know that we solidify ourselves and we separate ourselves throughout our process and just throughout working with others and making sure we're making this plan work for them. And we're also not executing on things that they don't know. Some people, They're like, hey, Joe, here's the keys to the car. You drive it. Some people are like, hey, Joe, I want you to sit in the passenger seat, but I want to drive the car. Or, hey, Joe, my car's broken down. I want you to just take a look at the engine and let me know what's going on. Whatever you want our service to be, we'll help you out. But if you let us really dive into everything, I can guarantee you we're going to put you in a better spot than you were before, and you're going to be able to sleep at night knowing, hey, I got a big team around me making sure my finances are taken care of, and we're going to do our part 10 times out of 10 for everybody. So I urge you, if you haven't reached out, if you haven't called, my number is 602-909-9048. Again, that is 602-909-9048. Let's make sure we're putting you in a better position than you were yesterday, and let's get the ball rolling on this planning.
Yeah, and it's something where, you talk about being able to sleep at night. People, as we get older, you start thinking about that stuff. Hey, what's my retirement going to look like? Right? And do I have enough money? I know a lot of people are worried that they simply don't have enough, and some people don't, right? Some people, hey, you're right on, right? We got to come up with a way to get some extra money in there, and it could be something as little as, and people don't get this. It may be, $50 to $100 extra a month, right? Hey, let's shop around the car insurance, right? Let's shop around the health insurance. Let's shop around a few things. Maybe we get rid of a premium channel that you really don't watch anymore and get that cable bill down a little bit. And all of a sudden, hey, an extra $50, $100, $200 a month can make a big difference. And then on the other side, a lot of people, and I know this to be the case, hey, you've done a great job. You've gotten plenty of money saved up, and yet you're with an advisor that had you fully invested, and all of a sudden you got hit with a 25% loss that you didn't need to take. And you guys laid these cases out on both sides for the people that done a good job. Hey, we don't need to be risky anymore. Sleep well at night because we're not going to take that, and you're going to have plenty of money. And you show that to them. You actually show it to them what they're going to have. And then conversely, other people, hey, it doesn't mean we're not telling you that you need to make thousands of more dollars a month to make this work. A lot of times it's not as big as people think.
Yeah, exactly. And you're spot on. And one thing I really want to note and say to that, and if you're listening, to pay attention to, if you are one of those people that, hey, we've saved a ton of money, we've got 500, we've got $1 million, we've got $3 million of assets, and we're entering retirement, I would highly urge you to chat and talk with us, because I can 90% of the time, the advisor you're with, he's at Merrill Lynch, whatever it may be, listen, they stop checking in because you're going to start drawing down on your assets, which means they will make less money. Really want you to pay attention to that. The reason why people love to go to us for pre-retirement and retirement planning is because we focus on wealth distribution and how to do that in the most tax-efficient manner. And I'll tell you what, the amount of money we can save people in that area is pretty tremendous. And it's a huge bonus to your plan. So if you're sitting there and you're one of those people, and you're like, hey, you're like, I'm set. I know I am. Come chat with us, and we'll make sure you can live off even more in retirement. Or maybe make a donation to charity or to your church, right? And make that urge there. And for the people who say, hey, Joe, I'm not tracking, and I'm just too afraid to call, I don't want to get financially undressed, that is fine. What we talk about is confidential. It doesn't matter where you are, where you're at, if you're super behind, if you're super ahead. Hey, let us just educate you on where you're at, and we'll hold your hand. We'll slowly go through the process to make sure we can get you to where you want to be. And it's not a huge change. It just takes some discipline to sit down with us and get us back some information so that we can give you that service that we know we can give.
Joey, how did everyone get a hold of you?
Yep, just reach me at my personal cell, which is 602-909-9048. Again, that is 602-909-9048. If you want to partner up with someone with conservative values and really genuinely cares about all of his clients, I urge you, give us a call, walk through our process, and compare us to whoever you have. And if you like the other guy better, use them. Or if you want to utilize us for a certain part of planning, we'd love to help out, and we'd love the opportunity to be on your side.
There you have it. That's my son Joey. I know I can vouch for him personally. He's gonna blow you away. I promise you that, because he did with my wife and I. Give him a shout, because I'm going to tell you right now, it's just now starting to get tricky. All of a sudden, everybody, me included, right? We thought the rate hikes were over. We thought that the Fed was going to just do a lot of lip service, a lot of talk about higher for longer, that they were really going to fold up the tent. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and I think Wall Street is bracing now for the fact that, maybe we have this thing all wrong. And, of course, as I started this show, a big development with BRICS. Are they going to a gold-backed currency? Jason, there's a lot of things happening, and of course we've got we've got to throw that out there too, right? It's election season coming up. Is Joe Biden going to run? The Democrats don't want him to run. Is the economy going to start to falter? These are all the things that you need to watch out for. But give Joey a call, 602-909-9048. And he can help you get your plan in place. But all this weekend, all over Asia, they've got the equivalent of like CNN and Fox, right? The RT, it's called the Russian Times. They've been running headlines all weekend long about the BRICS, and they have a meeting coming up in August. So this their next big meeting is in August. And here's the crazy part. We know, BRICS, right? We got Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, right? Those are the original members. But then we know that Iran, United Arab Emirates, the Saudis, a few others are now in the membership process, right? Hey, we're not a founding member, but we're part of BRICS, or we're doing the paperwork to be part of BRICS. That number has jumped now. Jason, we're talking about 41 countries that are now somewhere in the process of becoming part of this BRICS group, with another 20 or so countries talking about becoming a part. And then this weekend, they're saying that in August, they are going to announce a gold-backed currency that's going to be used in bilateral trade in the BRICS.
Yeah, and that'll make gold spike very rapidly if they take serious action towards that. In the end, though, Joe, I don't care what system a central bank system puts together, whether it be the BRICS or good old Fed, there will be no gold backing anything at some point. So the threat is there because you got two systems sort of battling against each other. So that's kind of the nuclear option. Hey, we're going to back our brand new BRICS currency with gold, but it won't last long. But I'll say this, when it happens, or when the threat seems very real that it's going to happen, gold will spike. It can spike very quickly, too. And I'll say I was looking more at the commercial real estate situation. It looks like this is not just America. This is all over the place. Commercial properties in Europe are going bad.
Yeah, this is I don't like how any of this is setting up. China continuing to struggle here. They're not talking about inflation in China, right? They're talking about, hey, we may have deflation in China. Of course, they've got property market problems. There are problems everywhere, and don't be fooled. Like I said, if you took 7 companies away, this market is very, very ugly. and there's so much to talk about. One of the cases now, Janet Yellen just left China. She was there, I don't think on accident, right? I think that she was there for one reason and one reason only. She knows about this meeting in August. Word is out that they're potentially going to be creating a new money. So these are the headlines running all over Asia. New money, new world. They're going to a gold standard will be a great benefit of strengthening new single currency. So this is kind of, I guess the euro on steroids when you think about the countries that are involved in all of this and the ramifications. But this is just a continuation of the de-dollarization of the world, isn't it, Jason? I mean, this is really unprecedented. Now, we can, listen, I don't want to overemphasize it, right? The dollar, still a major player, going to be a major player, but it went from we're the only game in town to all of a sudden a lot of the world saying, hey, we're looking for a different game. (800-951-0592). Joe and Jason here on this Monday. This is a big deal. And again, we'll see what the official announcement is going to be. But Kitco over the weekend said the official announcement about a gold-backed BRICS currency is expected to be made at the summit in August in South Africa. Zero Hedge has QTR Financial. A lot of people out there now circulating that this is going to be the case. A new transaction unit backed by gold. And we'll have to see, right, Jason? What do they mean by this? Now it makes sense, right? We're seeing so many central bank countries buying gold. So many. The only ones that we're not seeing do it is pretty much the G7, right? And maybe a few others, the G7 plus, like Canada, Australia, but other than that, you're pretty much seeing the vast majority of the rest of the world buying gold, and we're sitting there going, okay, we get it, right? Hey, they're going to hold less dollars, but we're holding gold. Obviously, this has been circulating behind the scenes for a while that the BRICS nations were kind of letting their friends know, hey, this is where we're headed, so you may want to start buying it before the price really shoots up. And I think this kind of fits that, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so, Joe. I think so. And it may not be as easy as just announcing a gold-backed security in August. There's gonna be a fight. I wonder if the timing of it is the BRICS nations thinking that's when the markets are going to show a lot of stress. August, Well, I get the feeling the announcement of the gold-backed BRICS currency could be moved back to September or October if things in the markets worldwide don't go where they think. Which I'm wondering if that's when they think things are getting ready to really go down, and that's the time to announce your new stable currency for people to run to, for countries and banks to run to. So we'll see, Joe, because I don't think they would want to announce it when things are going so-called okay, right? They want to announce that when things are going bad. Maybe that's when they're calling it. Maybe that's when they think it's going to happen. So maybe August things are going pretty bad, Joe.
I'm going to say this: yields are going higher. The Treasury and the Fed pulled a nasty trick on all of us. This is how we were kept. Well, God, why is the 10-year so much lower? Well, because they really weren't selling very many, right? They were selling tons of 3-month, 6-month, 1-year, 2-year notes. Really weren't selling the long-dated notes, so there was a lot of, not a lot of issuance and a lot of demand keeps the yield down. that is going to reverse itself, and I mean reverse itself in a big way in August. So not only are we going to get a rate hike, on top of it, the unwinding of this trick that they were playing, it's kind of a double whammy. Now, I don't know what the whole announcement's going to be, right? What does it mean that it's going to be gold backed? Can you exchange it for gold? Like, if this is one of these things where, you at any point, remember the thing about us closing the gold window. People forget, they always say, America's never defaulted. That's not true. All contracts before 1933, it was a payment, right? You can pay it in gold. You can pay it in a Federal Reserve note. It's interchangeable. You can demand payment in gold. That was taken away with the exception of what? Foreign countries, right? Foreign countries could still get paid in gold. How did they make sure they didn't want to get paid in gold? They took a $20 gold piece and made it worth $35. They're like, wait a minute. Yesterday, I could only buy $20 worth of stuff. Now I can buy $35 worth. What a great deal. And, of course, all this gold came from Europe back to the United States. Well, guess what? By the 60s, all those European nations were like, give us the gold back. We went from 20,000 metric tons down to 8,000 metric tons, and that's when Richard Nixon closed the gold window. Now, it'll be very interesting. I don't know that that's what they're going to say, but Jason, if they say that this is interchangeable with gold, this will be a monumental announcement. Absolutely. Or is it just going to be something where, hey, the money we're using is backed by X amount of gold? That remains to be seen. It's going to be interesting what the exact announcement is going to be.
Yeah, until they tell you what the rules are, right? You got to set the rules before people can react to them. So we'll see. We'll see in August. We'll see. They could always, like I said, they could always back up their announcement. I have a feeling they want to see more stress in European and American markets before they really lay it on hard. We'll be here to report it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Janet Yellen was made aware of this, obviously. Like I said, I think she knew before she ever got on the plane. And I'm just going to read you her statement. I just want to reiterate what I've said in the past, which is I think, that's never a good thing, I think the United States can rest assured that the dollar is going to play the dominant role in facilitating international transactions and serving as a reserve currency in the years ahead. Now, a couple of things to note. A reserve currency. We used to be the reserve currency. So already a change. And I'll say this, and I know that we've downplayed it, especially the media here in the U.S. has downplayed it. But this has been unprecedented. The number of countries just in the last 12 to 18 months that have signed on to trade goods in something other than dollars. And we know what it is, predominantly the Chinese renminbi. But Jason, it really has been a whirlwind, even, like Saudi Arabia, UAE, right? Hey, we're starting to do transactions in something other than dollars. We know about India and Brazil. I mean, these are major, India as an example, they're saying Goldman Sachs over the weekend, by 2075, the Indian economy will be the second largest behind China. I mean, these are big deals here, kind of interesting. I wouldn't feel real good about Janet Yellen's comments.
Yeah, I think this is a little purposeful movement to make it more like the IMF, have a currency basket for reserve currency, Joe. And it makes you wonder if the inflation's supposed to be here to push people into this new system and divide the pie up a little bit more evenly, Joe. That's kind of what it feels like it's happening.
We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason here on this Monday. Was it Friday? Friday, man, we ran the 1921 Morgan dollars. Every one of these coins is uncirculated. We're selling them way below cost. Matter of fact, a lot of these are $40+ coins. We sold most of them. We've got less than 20 rolls. We had 50 rolls available. But you're not going to get this opportunity like this. They just don't come very often. These are rolls of 1921 Morgan dollars, the last year of issuance. Every one of these coins are in uncirculated condition. The majority of them are, just drop dead gorgeous white, beautiful looking. Jason was holding them up on Friday. They're $660 a roll. We don't have any more than that. That's all we've got. There are no more. Like I said, most of these coins on the open market are $40+ a piece. So we've got them priced at $33 or $660 a roll at 800-951-0592. And like I said, Jason, we got less than 20 rolls left. But again, it's too good of a value to not get them out in people's hands.
Yeah, and we're describing these on the invoices as AUBU. I would essentially say they're all uncirculated, but uncirculated coins is that term can be a little bit misleading because sometimes you think it's just a brand new coin right off the press. These are big, heavy dollar coins that were bagged and were shipped all over the country. So some of these got heavy bag marks. Some of these have some sort of toning, dark toning, light toning, different stages of toning. And then there's quite a few in each roll that are just really nice. Really super nice. So I don't want anyone to think that these are BU rolls straight across the board. That's not what they are. If they were, we probably have a higher price on them. But you're going to be happy with these coins. They're really, really, and we're selling them essentially for circulated price.
It's a circulated pricing, yeah, and actually a little below circulated pricing in most parts. So 800-951-0592. Of course, we're talking about BRICS. There's a lot going on this week. Outside of, we got pretty much half of the Fed governors talking. We got CPI on Wednesday. But I want to finish up with Janet Yellen and her last comment. I don't see that role being threatened. She's talking about the role of the dollar by any development, including the one that you've mentioned about the BRICS common currency. So obviously, I don't think it's by accident that Janet Yellen was over in China as this news was breaking. We expect an announcement as early as August in the summit in South Africa that these BRICS nations are devising. Instead of it just being, hey, we're all going to trade renminbi, this is going to be where all of these countries can take their currency, convert into gold, and trade that way. But we'll wait for all the details. But, Jason, I don't think it's by accident that this is all of a sudden coming out now, because I think you're right. I think they know things that we don't know. Right? And they know things that we don't know what's going on globally. This thing is, in my opinion, we're barely hanging on here. And I'm not just talking about here. I'm talking about globally. There's a lot of structural problems. To give you another thing to back this up, on CNBC, they're making this big deal about the banks, and that, hey, America compared to compared to England and France and Germany, we have way more banks. We have way too many banks, right? We need to have a lot less banks. And, of course, we have some banks that aren't, they made them banks that aren't banks. But by their count, there's about 4,800 institutions that are considered banks by the Federal Reserve here in the United States. And, Jason, they put a graph up and said, well, look, England's only got 330, right? This country's only got 287, making the case that there needs to be thousands of less banks here in the United States. And I think that's exactly what's getting ready to happen.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, well, and just from what I understand, there's a world economic system that's been put together over centuries, really. And the bankers in Russia, the bankers in China, the BRICS nations, they're still talking to the European Central Bank. They're still talking to the Fed. You can't have a worldwide system in place if you're not talking to the leaders financially of those other countries. And so I've said many times in the past that the Fed doesn't really exist if it lets inflation get out of control. That's one of its mandates. It's supposed to control inflation. But that doesn't mean the Fed doesn't want inflation. I think the Fed really wants inflation. I think the reason they've soft-pitched their attack on inflation is because they want it to burn. I think there's a plan to create a currency basket, a world reserve currency basket, kind of like the IMF has, Joe. And they need a lot of inflation for that, right? You're right, the banks. The reason we have more banks is America generally is still a more free country. Why is there so few banks in Europe? Well, they're less free. They don't have the freedoms we have. Their constitutions are nothing like the freedoms that are supposed to be granted to us. And there's a move, Joe. They're moving it to a different world economic system. And the inflation in this country, I'm telling you, it's going to be extreme. I think it's going to rear its head even worse later this year, next year, and beyond. And the Fed is causing it, Joe. This is on purpose. Gold-backed security in the BRICS, Joe. I think they're all planning it together. It's a planned event, just like you said.
We'll be back right after the break. $800-951-0592. Gold's down 2 here, 1930. Silver unchanged at 23.10. The Dow is up 100 points right now. As news out of CNBC, many of the country's 4,672 lenders, banks, are going to be forced into the arms of stronger banks over the next few years, either by market forces or regulators, right? That means shutdown. And many were the only country in the world with this many banks. This is a warning. This banking system, it's unsound. It's been unsound. You need to be prepared ahead of time. You need to have your gold and silver put away ahead of time. $10 Liberties, 1 through 9, 1,080. 10 or more, 1,075. And then we are down to the last group here of these 1921 Morgans at $660. It's a great deal. These are awesome looking coins, well below market price here. And like I said, there's only a handful of rolls left now. The 1921 Morgans at $660. The $10 Liberty Gold coins, 1,080, 10 or more, 1,075. And Jason, it's kind of interesting. We had the crisis, right? We had some banks shut down. We had some fear. Then we hit this calm water. And all of a sudden, the water's starting to get choppy again. J.P. Morgan, or was it Morgan Stanley? J.P. Morgan or Morgan Stanley, I forget which one, just came out. I'm sorry, it was Citigroup just came out, downgraded the S&P, said, hey, it's going to fall 9 or 10%. That's probably being kind here. I think what they're trying to tell you is the water's getting ready to get real choppy again. And could the BRICS, with this announcement, make it even choppier? Yeah, I don't have you there. Yeah, we'll work on it. Yeah, I'm not hearing you. So we'll just keep going here. That all of this, that when it's playing out here, and it's just amazing because the timing isn't on accident. This isn't done on accident. Why did this story break? I don't know. Why was Janet Yellen all of a sudden in China, right? You can judge that on your own. I think this is just another step in all of this. I think Jason is right. There's a lot more carnage to come. I think the world together would love to see nothing more than this, which is less freedom, more control, more central bank power. I think that we're the countdown is on for when the retail digital currency emerges. The countdown is on when that will happen. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason wrapping up this Monday. We'll be back with the half-empty cup. Jason just got back. He'll be back just in time for the half-empty cup.